Hey, ladies, welcome to Black Women Making Money. We're going to put on our 90 seconds of music, let people come in, hit the like button, and we will see you on the other side of the music. Take care. Welcome to Black Women Making Money. We are the home of the upwardly mobile Black woman. For exclusive content and invitations to our Inner Circle Zoom meetings, which happen on a monthly basis, you can sign up for free for our email newsletter at bwmakingmoney.com. That's bwmakingmoney.com. Hey, ladies. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step to. uh, Actually, it's been 13 days since I've been on my channel, and I figured I would come and say a few words this evening. There's been so much happening on social media, but my life off of social media has been so full. And in a very challenging way that I just have not been able to be here with you ladies. And even tonight, I don't have a lot of, I usually have my notes, and I usually have like a lot of content and things I want to share with you. I have a few things that I want to say. No, I did not watch the Super Bowl last night. No, I do not care what happened with Taylor Swift. I barely know that Kansas City won, um, any of that. And I had no idea that Beyonce was, releasing this new album or anything like that. And but as I don't know what I was doing, but for some reason, I think it was like 4 o'clock this morning. I'm like, uh, country music. I like country music, but I'm not really impressed with Beyonce. I'm not part of the Beehive. If you are, good for you. I'm just not. So, you can put your bees in and, whatever. But I decided to listen to the two country songs. One I liked, one I didn't like, etc. But it's something occurred to me as I was not just listening to the songs, but also understanding the whole marketing thing that I think we as upwardly mobile Black women can pay attention to and can utilize in our professional lives. Because it's very funny how the Super Bowl is supposed to be about the men, right? The Kansas City Chiefs, whoever they played, I don't know who they played yesterday, but whatever other, you know, football team they played, Usher I did know that Usher was going to be the headliner, and yes, I did. This morning when I got up at 3 o'clock, 3:30 this morning, I was like, let me at least see how Usher did with regards to his performance. I thought it was okay, it was good, but I was like, okay. Um, it was supposed to be about the men though, and yet the women stole the show. Taylor versus Beyonce stole the show. So I thought that was a very interesting thing that is part of my observation with regards to Super Bowl. And I kind of wanted to discuss a little bit with you with regards to how you are able to harness attention in order to push your agenda forward. Because don't get it twisted. Taylor Swift has pushed her quote unquote agenda forward. And Beyonce, who is a married woman who was not on stage last night at all, who nobody was thinking of, has found a way to insert herself into something that should have been about the men and something that was largely about Taylor Swift. And yet, Black social media is all hyped up over a genre of music that we don't really listen to like that, country music. All because one woman is like, well, I think I'm going to do a country album. So let's talk about it tonight. But before I do, I just want to say hello to Jay Antoinette. And Celine is in the building saying, hey, glad you made it on here. Look, I have had a very challenging last 2 weeks. I've been suffering from a little bit of depression, I'll be honest. Barely able to get out of bed some days, but I'm here. At some point, we may have a discussion overall about depression and, how to we naturally get up as Black women and we naturally keep moving, but sometimes it is hard. It is hard to do that. It is hard to admit to people like, hey, I don't have it all together. Um, hey, some days I just don't know if I'm going to make it, right? All of us have that at some point, some more than others. So, um, it, I have things working out for me, but I also have very challenging things right now with regards to my new career, my office, things like that. And it's just been really, really tough. And everybody has a point in a crossroad where they're like, do I quit? Do I quit or do I keep going? Do I persevere? And you have people on both sides. Some people telling you quit. And those voices saying quit are very loud. And then other people saying, no, you're doing really well. Stick with it. Stay with it. If you can get past this, you'll get to the other side. And it's just been really tough. So that's part of the reason why you haven't seen me. I'm still going through it right now. I'm still going through it very much. And it's probably going to, I don't know, I can't say it's going to be a couple more weeks. I don't know how long it's going to be. But I made the decision. Somebody told me on Saturday I needed to get it together. Person was like, Cherie, you are not doing well. You need to get it together. So I had to basically make a decision between Saturday and Sunday. Am I going to keep going, keep moving forward, or am I going to quit? And when I mean quit, I mean like, quit everything, like forget it, you know? And I said, no, there are people who are doing what I'm doing, who are having success, and I'm smarter than them, or I am as smart as them. But they figured out certain things that I haven't figured out, or they're doing certain things that I'm not doing, or they're not doing certain things that I am doing. And I'm just like, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to quit. So yeah, that's what's been happening with your girl. Um, hey, Torian Dreams saying, girl, that depression had a hold on me as well this past week. Yeah, yeah. I mean, to the point where I don't take medication, but I thought about it. And every time I think I'm going to take medication, I'm like, no, no, so if any of you take medication, like I am not a person to um, disparage anybody taking medication. If you need to take medication, definitely do it. I just know for me, I don't believe medication is um, my real issue. I just need to deal with all of the demon talk and the negative talk in my head and like really compartmentalize it and push past it. So, my the person I was speaking with on Saturday was like, well, maybe you need to get back into therapy. So that's what I'm going to do. My health insurance now has a mental health component to it. So y'all know you can get right online here and get a therapist. So I'm going to go back into therapy. So, Jantoine is saying, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Lots of thoughts positively. Thank you so much. I know how you feel. Yeah, all of us feel that way. And at some point we may have a discussion about that as well as upwardly mobile Black women, because there are a lot of pressures that we face that are different from impoverished Black women, impoverished Black men. Upwardly mobile Black men have their own set of, issues, and our counterparts, white women, Asian women, they have their own issues. We have a unique set of issues when we deal with depression and things like that, I think is important for us to kind of be able to separate ourselves and talk from our point of view. Because for a lot of us, we are not only expected to be strong as Black people are, whereas other races of women can be delicate, but as upwardly mobile Black women, sometimes we are the financial backbone of our families as well. Now, I'm not saying I'm the financial backbone of my family. Unfortunately not. But sometimes there's additional pressures that we have as upwardly mobile Black women that other groups of people don't have. The men, upwardly mobile Black men, have different issues, than we do. If you're a mom, for example, you can't necessarily just sulk in bed and say, take me away, right? You have other responsibilities. You have to continue moving, moving forward, etc. So Torian Dreams is saying, we will get through it. Trust me, quitting is not the answer. I know. Trust me. I thought about it though. I thought about it. I'm like, it cannot be this hard. And I make things harder on myself as well. I'm really tough on myself. I'm really tough on myself. I'm really tough on um, on the people that are working with me as well. Part of it is, as a Black person, as a Black professional, I come from a time period where any mistake I made was viewed more harshly than other people. And other people will look at me and think, oh, that mistake wasn't so bad. And I'm like, no, this mistake is not allowed. you know? And they're like, what are you talking about? It's fine. I'm like, are you kidding? And I know this is a new day. Like I'm in my mid 40s. In a few years I'll be 50, so maybe I come from a different generation, but than some of you who are millennials or Gen Z. But it there are just certain things that, my mother taught me, like, no, you get out here and you are an A plus in what you're doing. So I probably put a lot on myself. And because of that and the disappointments that I'm running into, um, it may be added pressure on myself that other people don't have for me in the year 2024. I don't know. I'm just kind of talking off the top of my head. I don't know. So I'm going to be going back to therapy and try to figure all that stuff out. Um, Blossoming Bloom is in the house. Hello. I'm glad you took a break. Thank you for everything you do. Oh, thank you so much. It was it wasn't a break that I expected to take. It just so happened that I didn't have time. I've been working on a couple of loans, been trying to save some loans, um, very much trying to help clients, things like that, and have not had some of the internal help that I've needed. So, I when I made the decision to become a mortgage loan officer, I had a few opportunities, and you get to a point where you select something. So I selected to become a loan officer. And then you get to a point where, oh, shoot, did I make a mistake? Maybe instead of turning left, I should have turned right at that pivot. And we all go through that. We all go through that when we're making major pivots. So, so that's kind of where I've been. So, Sugar St. James saying, thank you for your transparency. I can definitely relate. I appreciate you for still going live tonight. Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And at some point, maybe we'll have a whole conversation about this as well. So thank you, Fashion Missy, sending love. Thank you so much. I receive your love. I receive it. So I can really appreciate this conversation tonight. I've been struggling off and on for the past year. Thanks, Cherie. Thank you so much. It's interesting because I was going to have a conversation about this because I have seen, put a one in the chat if you all watch Kimberly from For Harriet. Put a two in the chat if you don't know who she is or you don't really watch her. A one in the chat if you watch Kimberly, Kimberly Foster, I think is her name, in For Harriet channel. Put a two in the chat if you don't know who she is. I don't really watch her too much because, and it's kind of weird, I don't really enjoy her content. Even though I like her, she's an upwardly mobile Black woman, I just personally don't enjoy her commentary. But she's had a couple of lives lately where she's talked about Black excellence. And there's this whole conversation about giving up on Black excellence. And this has come up a lot over the past couple of years. I want to go back into that conversation of giving up on Black excellence because with the whole thing with Taraji P. Henson talking about Oprah and how the women of the color purple had major issues with regard to their accommodations on the color purple and how we're seeing all of this exposing in Hollywood and how people are they are looking put together, but they are not successful when it comes to dollars and cents, right? Or when it comes to some of the underlying things that matter. I do want us to, at some point, go through these ideas of Black excellence, because one of the concerns that I have is throwing the baby out with the bathwater, right? Where we say, oh, we don't want to be Black excellent anymore because it's all about capitalism. Well, life is about capitalism. The United States is about capitalism. Having resources is about capitalism. So saying I'm not going to do Black excellence because of capitalism, I don't think is smart. but I need to put my ideas together more, and maybe pull out certain parts of what Kimberly and some of the other people are saying, um, with regards to that. On the other hand, I can understand where Black excellence it is. I don't want to say it is unaliving me, literally, but maybe it is. Is Black excellence? I've been so stressed for the past 2 weeks that literally I get up at night and I have knots in my stomach. And I'm working out some days and not working out other days and things like that. So maybe Black excellence is cutting my life short. This is a bigger conversation, right? But throwing out Black excellence, I don't think is the answer either. Do we redefine Black excellence? Now, here's the thing I will say. One of the things that I don't know if it was Kimberly or somebody else was talking about was that Black excellence with regards to um, Monique and Taraji P. Henson and Jay Z. Oh, that's what it started with, Jay Z and his Grammy speech, which I wasn't impressed with. I was like, why is everybody so enthralled with this speech? I could barely understand what he was saying. I had to go listen to somebody else's video for an interpretation of what he was talking about, right? But Black excellence for me, if I were in entertainment, would never be tied to me winning an Oscar or me winning a Grammy. It would be tied to me doing work that I think is worthwhile. And yes, I understand, and being paid fairly for that work. So within the professional Black excellence conversation, is Black excellence really becoming CEO of a Fortune 500 company? To me, that was never Black excellence. So maybe my interpretation of Black excellence is different than everybody else's, right? Um, but for me, the nervous knots come in my stomach because for me, Black excellence is 5-star service when I am doing mortgage loans for my clients. And when things don't go my way as I'm doing mortgage loans for my clients, um, that is when I feel like Black excellence is escaping me, within this bubble that I have, right? And I hope I'm making sense to people. Um, for me, Black excellence is also, I have certain financial goals that I want to hit in 2024. And if I don't hit those financial goals, then for me, I'm not achieving Black excellence, right? So, um, I know this is a complicated conversation. At some point, we may have a discussion about it. In fact, I very much want us to have a discussion about it, but I do want to have, some clips to play and some notes written down and maybe even open up the panel so all of you are able to respond as well. But yeah, Black excellence in some ways would make us mentally sick, physically sick. Um, it, diverts our attention. Maybe Black excellence does need to be redefined. It needs to be redefined for you individually, redefined for me individually. I don't think the answer to Black excellence is let's open up the Source Awards again, because let me tell you something. I remembered the Source Awards. heard somebody say that, like, they were talking about the celebrities and Black excellence, Black excellence. Forget the Grammys. We don't need the Grammys. Let's open up the Source Awards again. I was like, huh? Okay. How about Black excellence is owning your royalties? Black excellence is being able to distribute your music, write the music that you want to be able to write without having to have sexual relationships with producers so you can get beats as a woman. How about that starting as Black excellence? Okay. Yeah. We're going to have a whole nother conversation about this, right? But I do still think that some of the Black excellence discussions are, I like the conversation starters. I just think that we're missing certain things with it. So, but I am going to read more of your comments, and then let's talk about Beyonce a little bit and the Super Bowl. So, Jantoinette, I was asking if you all listen to or know of For Harriet and Kim. You're saying I know her platform, but I don't watch her content. Yeah. Um, you're saying once, so you watch My Skin is My Logo. You watch For Harriet. Okay. Or at least you're saying you know who she is. Torian Dreams saying, Sheree, this exposing Hollywood is something we need to talk about as well. Okay. Jantoinette is saying it's not smart. Torian Dreams saying, I think we need to be excellent for ourselves where Black women get burdened down by trying to be a perfect representation of the race in rooms we are not really in. I agree with that. I agree with that. Now I will say, as a mortgage loan officer, personally, I don't look at myself as a Black mortgage loan officer that has to represent the Black race in rooms. I do look at myself as a professional who has been hammered in my brain since I was a little girl that you have to be 3 times as good to get half as much. And when you get in there, you had better be excellent. So that is part of where I'm coming from. That's part of where I'm coming from. And with AI coming for white collar jobs and with robotics coming for blue collar jobs, I do think that it is dangerous for Black women to decelerate from Black excellence too much. And maybe later on this week, we'll have a more of a discussion about that. I kind of want to put my thoughts together so I speak to you in a coherent way and have some clips where I'm able to speak to you in a coherent way. But I'm hoping that what I'm saying thus far is making sense. So I will make this comment. A few weeks ago, no, I think it was this summer. Last summer, there was the UPS strike. UPS, a lot of the drivers and other people did this massive strike. And I think it was a couple of weeks ago, they laid off 12,000 workers. I bring that up because with AI and with robotics, there is going to be a move from having a lot of people as employees to having fewer people as employees, and you may become a 1099 gig worker, or you may have to start your own business, which means you have to go and get clients, etc. So I'm always cautious about decelerating with regards to Black excellence too much where you start losing opportunities. So I think that's an important conversation for us to have. We want to practice self-care. We want to practice Black girl luxury. We want to have boundaries and standards in our working environments. But there is a point where, if I'll give you an extreme example that I heard, and yes, I did hear a Black person say, being on time is is what white people do, and white supremacy, like stuff like that is, it's like, okay, now we're going team too much, right? So, like I said, I kind of want to put my notes together a little bit because I'm rambling. Um, but I know overall what I'm trying to say. No, know overall what I'm trying to say. Oh, this is Nafisa. Hey, Nafisa. All right. I grew up with the pressure of Black excellence that you did, and it has all but disappeared in the community. I'm still affected by it daily. I am too. I am too. It's hard. How about just plain personal excellence? I like that, Nia. I like that. So everybody defines what their own excellence is. And also having grace as well with ourselves. So I have been a mortgage loan officer for a year. I have been licensed for, I actually started, I got my license in July, but I started doing loans as a licensed professional in like September. So I really should be giving myself more grace than I have been. So even your personal excellence, your standard for yourself in personal excellence with regards to your profession, with regards to you being perhaps a wife or a mother or things like that, it grows as you grow and you become better. So how can I expect my personal excellence to be as good as somebody who's been in the industry for 10 years? I should not expect that. I should expect to be better every day, but I should not expect to be as good as somebody who's been doing it for 10 years. And yet I have so much anxiety because I take every client's application so personally that, you know, um, that I'm like, oh no, I I have to do all of these things right, right? And then it's true that I have counterparts around me who are so lackadaisical and all over the place and just like, just throw it together kind of thing. And I'm like, how, how do you actually like take care of clients like that? So, so yes, but I agree, just plain personal excellence. Now, I would ask this, Nia, as we're having this conversation, do outside people see our plain personal excellence? No. Do outside people see us performing personal excellence and grade us in the same manner that they grade everyone else? Just a thought. Just a thought. Does Black excellence does personal excellence for a Black person have to be better than personal excellence for other people? And it may depend on the company that you work for. It may depend on the boss that you work for. It may depend on the industry that you work for. I don't know. I don't know. This is a deeper conversation than I expected to have. I was going to mention some of this tonight, but I had no intention of going this long with it. But, I'm being vulnerable tonight with all of you. So, my skin is saying I have high expectations of myself in my profession and in my personal business. It was encouraged in a very authoritarian manner, and I'm very hard on myself because of conditioning. A lot of us were raised that way. Nafisa, a lot of us were raised that way. Jay is saying I'm making plenty of sense. Thank you. Um, my skin is saying, I make a conscious effort to be kinder to myself if I make an error or if a move or decision I make doesn't work as planned. I have to practice that more, hence therapy. Nia saying, I missed the beginning, but Jay-Z as Black excellence puts a bad taste in my mouth. I agree. We hadn't even talked about Jay and Beyonce yet. Don't worry. We haven't even gotten there yet. So he has profited enormously off of the exploitation of Black people and hoards resources. That's nothing to celebrate. I agree with that. I agree with that. Jay is saying, geez, that's right up there with getting a paycheck is for white people. I haven't heard that one, but look, it's so social media is a blessing and a curse because there are social media conservatives. You all know I'm conservative, right? But I separate like regular meet them in the street conservative people from social media conservatives, right? So social media conservatives will say Black people think X, right? They'll say Black people think that getting to work on time is being white, right? And I'm like, who the hell says that? And then they'll show a TikTok video of some Black person saying that. And here's the problem. Here's the problem, Jay Antoinette, and all of you know this as well. Then when you go to like, so let's say a Charlie Kirk says something like that, and he shows the video of one Black person saying this, and somebody from HR is watching Charlie Kirk. Then you go in and you try to get a job. That person is thinking in the back of their head, does Jay Antoinette think that showing up to work on time is a white person thing? This is why I tell you your personal networks are so important. Do not just leave it up to HR and the applicant tracking system and LinkedIn Sales Navigator to help you get your resources and move up the corporate ladder. Because there are a lot of Black people saying crazy stuff on the internet. Craziness. And do I think it's fair that people will use those individuals' talking points against us? No, I don't think it's fair. Do I think it's life? Yes. And you all know on this channel, I tell you from an individual point of view what's happening and how to navigate it. I'm not here to save the Black race. I'm not here to save the Black community. I took my cape off. But on an individual level, I'm like, look, I'm watching these videos. I'm watching the proof that people are bringing. And yes, it's messed up that when we go into these corporations, that somebody would think negatively about us. But that's why I want you to have the extra edge. And the extra edge is somebody knowing you personally. And like, Jay is cool. Of course she shows up on time. And it's not fair, but life's not fair. Life's not fair. Level Up Single Mom is in the house. We eventually get to Beyonce because I do want to talk about her for a second. Nia is saying that stress of perfectionism can shorten your lifespan. Maybe you can delegate some things. I'm working on it, but I will tell you, I delegated something and I asked if that thing was going okay. And I was told it was going okay. And turned out it was not going okay. And because of that, I have been courting a realtor with a lot of business, and I may end up losing business opportunities because I didn't have my I didn't have my fingerprints on everything. We'll see. We'll see over the next couple of weeks how it's going to work out. But yeah, your girl is like right now, your girl is like, I want to see absolutely everything that is going through my office. So, my virtual office. So, that is it. Um my skin is saying Black excellence should be revised and encouraged to be kinder, less oppressive manner, but not eliminated. I agree with that. Mia saying it is industry specific, but regardless of how well you do personally, they will still view the overall group negatively. That's true. I agree with that. They'll just see you as a token exception. That's true. You know, and we can have that as a discussion, but unfortunately, I don't see it any other way. Um, you're saying I just saw the thumbnail. Yeah. We're supposed to be talking about Beyonce tonight because she did something that was clever. And I do think that there's an important lesson. So, hey, Alonso. Hey, True Mystique. Um, okay, so let's talk a little bit about B, or Bar Bey, as she calls herself. So, first thing I want to talk about is a little bit about the Super Bowl. So, one of the interesting things about what we saw, um, first of all, I did not watch the Super Bowl. Right, I was saying that before everybody, like, as you all were coming in. I didn't watch the Super Bowl, but I knew Usher was going to be the halftime performance show. So this morning, about 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning, I get up. I'm like, okay, let's see how Usher did. And then I not only see that Usher is, trending and things like that, but Beyonce is trending. And I'm like, that's interesting. And of course, Beyonce did a Super Bowl ad and she dropped two singles, and she is doing a Renaissance Part 2 uh, album that is a country music album. And I said, okay, I am not a part of the Beehive. I have not really been into Beyonce since Destiny's Child. Um, but, I was curious. So I listened to uh, the country music songs that she had. Now, the last album that she had, I only listened to two songs. I didn't like either of them, so I didn't bother listening to the album. This, the two songs that she dropped yesterday, one of them I didn't like. The other one I actually did like. The other one actually I liked so much, I'm honestly kind of thinking about putting it in my what do you call it? In my playlist for working out. But you all let me know. What do you think of the songs that Beyonce released? What do you think of the songs that Beyonce released? I was also saying that it's very interesting that the Super Bowl is supposed to be for the guys, right? The men, two teams of men, the Kansas City Chiefs and somebody else. I think it was the 49ers. I don't even know who played yesterday, but it's supposed to be about the men, right? And yet this year, the talk was dominated by Taylor Swift. So many people were talking about Taylor Swift, right? So Taylor Swift put herself, by dating this guy, into even more spotlight than she already had, right? And then Beyonce, who it was not on stage, she, is not dating any of the players, um, or anything like that, ended up coming in and grabbing a part of that spotlight. And what I wanted to talk about tonight with all of you is, in our professional worlds, as well as our personal worlds, I want to talk about more professionally. There are times when there's your entire industry or a big swarm of people that are going to be gathered in one place or that are going to be looking in one direction. And there are times when some of us need to actually become Bar Bey. Who is Bar Bey? That is Beyonce. Beyonce. Actually, let me see if I can pull it up here so you all can see what I'm talking about. So Beyonce, hold on. Beyonce did this whole Bar Bey thing, right? She released her her country album. You're saying you like 16 Carriages. That was a song I didn't like. I liked the Texas Hold'em song. I didn't care for the 16 Carriages. But that's very interesting. Tori and Dreams. You're saying I haven't heard them. I'll check them out later. Yeah. But here's the thing. She inserted herself. She inserted herself to get attention um, into a place where nobody was really looking for her. Because nobody was looking for Beyonce at the Super Bowl. Nobody was looking for a Beyonce album. Nobody was looking for a Beyonce anything. She wasn't on the stage, anything like that. And then she basically upstaged Taylor Swift. She almost upstaged the Kansas City Chiefs, who actually won. You know, definitely Black people on social media are talking about her. And I do think that there is something that we as upwardly mobile Black women can learn from her positioning herself in such a way that she was able to command attention and also move the needle, push the needle with regards to her industry. And I think there are ways for us to do that as well. So, you saying I like Texas Hold'em better as well. Yeah. You're saying I'm hella lost? Okay, well, I don't know if you haven't heard the songs or anything like that, but let's start first of all here. So, Super Bowl viewership since 2000. So in 2000, there was, I don't know, probably about 85 million people watching Super Bowl, right? In 2000. It peaked in 2015 with 114 million. And then in 2023, there was 115 million people watching last year. I don't know how many people watched this year, but probably close to the same amount of people were watching the Super Bowl this year. So all eyes, quote unquote, all eyes, my eyes weren't, but a lot of eyes were on the Super Bowl. And sometimes in our professional careers, it could be a conference, it could be a something that's happening in our industries. So I will give you an example. In the real estate industry last year, there was a lot of talk about a specific case that could change realtor commissions in the future. And all eyes within the industry was on that case, what was happening legally with that case, etc. Some of you are in medicine, and there are certain things that are happening in the medical world where your entire industry's attention is on that thing. Some of you, like True Mystique, are in technology where maybe there are certain things happening within AI, for example, or certain aspects of AI where the entire industry is looking at that specific thing. The question is, how can you take what Beyonce did with regards to inserting herself into, the conversation the viewership and being able to get some of that attention in order to push your agenda forward. And your agenda could be anything. It could be, hey, I want a better job. I want to be more influential in this industry. I want you, you may have a business that you are running and you're like, you know what? I want to get more attention so I can make more sales, etc. There are ways for us to look at what's happening in our industries and figure out how we are able to um, actually get more attention. Alonzo is a great example of that in the insurance industry. At some point, there are going to be things happening in the insurance industry that he could put himself in the middle of. Or it may not be the insurance industry. It may be, a certain celebrity dies and he puts himself in the middle of that attention in order to say, if you don't have insurance, this is what you should be doing. So my whole point tonight was to kind of talk about that, because that's one of the things that Beyonce did. Now, she announced her country themed Renaissance Act 2 album. I have to admit, for a woman who is 40 years old, I'm not a fan of the image on the right. But, if she likes it and her husband is okay with it, I'm not here to judge. I just think it's curious, but okay. I also can imagine who are some of the country people out there? Martina McBride, Garth Brooks, Luke Combs, maybe, for example. Some of the some of the country musicians are thinking, "Oh my goodness, is this what country music is going to be?" Right? But uh, Beyonce, of course, dropped her country music album. Uh, it's Act 2 of the Renaissance album. It's going to be country leaning. In an elaborate self-referencing ad, we see Beyonce scrolling through songs on an iPhone, then a lemonade stand referring to her 2016 classic album of the same name, following with a series of plays on her name, Bar Bey, referencing Barbie Botus, saying she'll be the first female president and then the first woman to launch the first rocket for the first woman in space. So she's doing all of these things. And then she finally says, okay, they ready. Drop the new music. I told y'all the Renaissance is not over, she concludes. So she comes out with Texas Hold'em, which I do like the song Texas Hold'em. I do actually like that song. And then she came out with another song, 16 Carriages, right? A short time after that, two songs appeared on streaming services. First on Tidal, and then other places. Texas Hold'em is almost entirely acoustic guitars, bass, drum, and vocals. And then, of course, she had 16 Carriages. So, fans have eagerly anticipated a new project from Beyonce, who initially released Renaissance in 2022. At the time, she revealed on her website that the album would be the first of a 3-act project. So, look, she made $579,000 in her Renaissance tour, and she is not done, as you all can see here. So, Jantoinette is saying, I hope she does an all-female country album. That would be interesting. Yeah, well, look, we'll see what happens. We'll see what she ends up dropping with regards to that. So, then I got curious. I wanted to know how much the Super Bowl commercials cost for 2024. And just the commercial to air it cost $7 million for a 30-second spot. $7 million for a 30-second spot. So she paid a lot of money for this. That doesn't include the development of the commercial, things like that. So there are times when you may pay $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 in order to attend the conference, in order to get access to certain people or access to um, certain attention within your businesses and within your personal and professional lives. So my whole point with this is, again, just kind of thinking about, I do think that this was a very interesting, um, this is a very interesting business case study. And Beyonce is a very interesting business case study with regards to getting attention. Because getting attention is honestly the new currency. So, as we conclude our discussion this evening, it really is like, hey, um, as an upwardly mobile Black woman, we should all be thinking about ways that we are getting attention within our industries. How are we actually pushing the ball forward within our industries? What are we doing in order to stay relevant within our industries? Whether it is, we're trying to, we are W-2s and we are looking to advance, or whether we have the small business bug, we are entrepreneurs. And how can we take some of the Bar Bey lessons that Beyonce has given us and dive deeper with regards to that? So that is it, I'm sure that Beyonce will do fine with her tours and all of that. It was more of again, how do we apply these lessons to us? So I hope you hit the like button on your way out and, practice mental health. And we shall have another conversation maybe about Black excellence again later on in the week. But that is it for me. I will see you ladies on the next video. Take care. Night.